All right, let's review this semester, getting ready for our final exam. I'm gonna just roughly go over the course and then also identify those parts of the module pages where you can find PowerPoints that were related to the topics that we learned. So you have a sort of a quick way to find the resources you need to study, and also you can use those resources during the exam. It is an open book, open note final exam. Weeks 1 through 8, we spent almost the first 4 weeks of the class just sort of learning the drafting and annotation tool set in AutoCAD. So that was just a lot of applied work. You'll be doing some applied work on your exam, but if you want to review anything, you might just review some of the assignments that you did. Make sure you know the topics that we learned in the various assignments. Then we got into some worksheets on 2D graphics and practiced drawing 2D graphics and also isometrics, sort of going back and forth between the isometric view and the 2D view. We added ellipses to our work. And then we switched over after the middle of the semester and learned about dimensions, dimension styles, and then worked more recently on oblique views, cabinet oblique views, section views in oblique. And we've also spent quite a bit of time controlling our viewports and printing, and that includes scaling and controlling viewport scales, using the scaling equation. And then we've sort of got started with auxiliaries and 3D basics. Those are sort of our final topics. We didn't get into them terribly deeply. The primary topics of learning were orthographics, isometrics, dimensioning using standard in AutoCAD, and also controlling your layers so that different lines have a different appearance and you can follow the line precedence rules and the dimensioning rules so that your drawings are easy to read. That's what we did in a nutshell. Now, what I wanted to show you, sorry for this, is sort of where to go to, sort of quick, to get to the PowerPoints. Because you'll want to spend some time maybe just going over the different PowerPoints. On day 3A, we introduced coordinates, and there is some helpful information about coordinate entry on here. I would say the best way to practice coordinates is to redraw your worksheets in AutoCAD. They should be all corrected now, and you should be able to draw them in AutoCAD using AutoCAD commands and get them to match up with the drawings that are on those worksheet 2, 3, and 4. The next area where you have some PowerPoints that might be helpful to you is in orthographic views on day 8, which included a video discussion and, but more specifically for you on this orthographic PowerPoint. And there was a video where I walked through the PowerPoint to explain the orthographic method. Then we got into isometrics on day 12, and there was some isometric ellipse work on day 13. Probably want to look into each of those. Get this slide. You'll see that part of the slides are here, and there's a walkthrough of the isometric method. And then on the following day, if I have not messed this up, on day 13, I've got some more of this PowerPoint presentation, and we talk about drawing forms in the isometric fashion on the different faces. I want to review both of those. Roof pitch, it's not too hard in AutoCAD, but you might want to review how to draw a roof at the right slope if you're given the roof pitch. And there's a video here that talks about it, and also there's a PowerPoint. It's kind of a small PowerPoint. And then on day 18, got into dimensions. A lot of that is setting up styles and knowing how to offset your dimension lines away from the object. So you'll see there's a lot of rules. We went over all the rules for dimensioning in this multi-part video with the PowerPoint. You can just look at the PowerPoint. You can actually print these PowerPoints, put them in a binder if you prefer to have a still reference that's not dependent on the screen while you're taking the test. It's not a bad strategy, since there are quite a few PowerPoint slides that you could possibly want to refer to during the test. I'll leave that up to individual students' preferences, though, how you want to control your learning material. Don't forget dimensioning includes architectural drafting style. We did it as a style. On day 21, you have information for oblique drawings, where the front is ortho and the side is going off at an angle. And there was an oblique presentation here with the PowerPoint slides. And then right after that, on day 22, we had the section views. They had their own PowerPoints. They have their own rules. And this is rather new. So this might be the least practiced and familiar topic that you have. But other than the basics of like what a section does and how it's oriented to, let's say, another view, we won't be testing you too heavily on drawing sections. I know that some of you are still a little rough on that, but you do want to understand the definitions and sort of the purpose of the section lines and reliably be able to answer a few basic questions on it. Then what did we have after that? Sections, and then finally we got in on day 25 to auxiliary views. And this will be, like the sections, a little less emphasized in the exam. So if you're feeling like, ooh, auxiliaries, not so sure, we'll review it, see if you can pick up the basic understanding of what an auxiliary view is, even if you don't think you could draw one independently. Just understand what it's for. And not the whole world doesn't line up to our XYZ axis. When the world has a strange face, that's an auxiliary plane. And then you want to orient your axis to the auxiliary plane so that you can measure accurately the size and shape of things on that plane. That's all the auxiliary plane is. We sort of move our axis over there. The details of it we've just barely touched into, but like I said, for the exam, make sure you at least have some vocabulary for this and some basic understanding of what's going on. Maybe not the ability to build complex auxiliary planes. And that's it. I'm going to hopefully spend a little time on each of the topics in the following video, but I wanted to make sure if you just want to roughly know where things are, those are your resources.